Next slide. This chart, again, this is the number of subscribers over a number of years, showing HSPA continues to grow very, very rapidly. In this year, again, the WCDMA. In this slide, I'm showing WCDMA as the release 99. So that first release of the WCDMA technology. WCDMA and HSPA will be roughly equivalent, but by next year already a large gap. HSPA is really beginning to accelerate. WCDMA will plateau and then begin to trail off. And you can see already by 2012 about a billion subscribers on HSPA projected. That's only 2 years away. 1 billion subscribers for HSPA. So between WCDMA and HSPA, even this year, the first quarter of this year, there were more than 500 million subscribers. So the growth story here is obviously HSPA, HSDPA, HSPA, HSPA Plus, and release 99 will plateau. In this chart, I'm showing the contribution of the emerging markets to the 3G landscape. So the y-axis, the vertical axis, is the number of 3G handsets shipped in a given year. So these are the blue bars. 2010, over 500,000 3G handsets shipped in 2010. And on the right-hand side, you can see the percentage of the 3G handsets that are due to the emerging market volume. And really the story of this plot is that the emerging markets will have tremendous leverage in the growth of 3G and drive 3G. Already by this year, you can see that there's more than 45% of the 3G handsets shipped have been shipped to the emerging markets. And by 2014, 70% of those handsets will be shipped to 3G or emerging markets. So clearly a very, very positive story for the emerging markets and the leverage that they'll have in the 3G ecosystem. Next slide, please. I think we skipped a slide? Okay. So the prior slide was the contribution of the emerging markets to the 3G landscape. I'm taking a different slice through the same data and showing the contribution of smartphones to the 3G market and really to the total handset market. So again, on the left-hand side, this is the number of smartphones sold in a given calendar year, and the left-hand side is the percentage of smartphones as a total of the number, as a percentage of the total number of handsets. So you see in 2010, this year, over a quarter billion, so 250 million smartphones shipped, and that number only increases year over year. So smartphones is a very rapidly growing segment of the mobile device market. By 2014, projected to reach over 500 million units a year. And if you just, even in these nearer-term years, in 2009, 2010, a 33% year-over-year growth rate for smartphones, and over the full 5-year period, over a 25% CAGR, a cumulative annual growth rate. So certainly smartphones are contributing substantially to the 3G market, the growth of the handset market. So why is 3G growing so strongly? Why are smartphones becoming so popular? From the point of view of the operator, the data are very compelling. This plot shows the data revenue for 4 operators: Vodafone, Telstra, Verizon, AT&T. The charts haven't been put on the same scale. So in the case of Vodafone, 1.1 billion British pounds, about 1.7 billion US dollars in third quarter of 09-010. So these are year over year. The dates or the starting points of the 1-year periods are a little bit different depending upon the reporting dates of the companies. But you can see that year over year, Vodafone enjoyed a 34% growth in their data revenues, Telstra a 21% growth in data revenues, Verizon 26%, AT&T 30%. Strong double-digit growth in data revenues year over year for these operators. So it's been 3G, the data, the services that 3G drives has been a very, very positive story from the perspective of the operators. From the users, the next slide, there are a number of applications and content that are driving the growth of 3G services, and smartphones. Here's an example of one category, content. So there is both commercial content, songs, videos. The Amazon Unbox is video, movies, TVs, TV shows, various song services. Also very popular with consumers is the social networking. In fact, that the social networking dimension of the content is growing very rapidly. People feel that the best content is the content that they generate. So the various social networking applications, Facebook, Twitter. In this category, depending upon the demographic, even in my demographic, for the user-generated content, when I landed in New Delhi, my wife sent pictures of a day trip that my wife and kids had taken on their bikes, and she sent it to me with an SMS. So although the specific applications change depending upon demographic, there is really strong uptake of the content and content services, social networking services, across all demographics. This is the only slide where we haven't provided the data from an analyst. This is actually a Qualcomm internal study. It was done in China, and all the rural areas of China were represented. 2,420 respondents were surveyed, so 2,420 people. And we broke it down into 2G versus 3G, as well as feature phone versus smartphone. So looking on the left-hand column, 2G versus 3G, the survey asked the question, which of the applications are must-haves on the handset? Which will you definitely use? And so here are the respondents' results. For a 2G handset, 7% of the respondents said email is a must-have, I'll definitely use it. For a 3G device, it was 17%, more than a threefold increase in respondents' desire to have email on handsets, going from 2G to 3G. Also an increase in internet. E-books is becoming a large category. News, that's certainly a content service, a content application that I use personally. So I have several news sites that are bookmarked on my BlackBerry. Local news, national news, international news. I check that several times throughout the day. Access to documents on the internet cloud, so documents sitting on server on the internet. E-commerce, trading stocks, downloading content, and the content including songs, including videos, including television shows, live TV broadcast. In every category, strong growth in the desire for consumers to have the devices 2G relative to 3G. Comparing feature phone to smartphone, a very, very similar story. Smartphone internet. On the feature phone, perhaps it's a WAP browser, smartphone, higher data rates, HTML browser, allowing or enabling a much better user experience.